All sports have their headline act, a Tiger Woods, a Roger Federer or a Michael Jordan, and naturally high expectations follow them. Most sports need that figure to carry the burden of being the best and respond accordingly. Otherwise, we don't call them champions. In horse racing, it's a little different, but no less important. Thoroughbreds, unlike humans, are judged purely on performance. Racehorses can have unimaginable expectations placed on them from a very young age, before they have even been seen in public, and very few live up to that promise on the track. Even fewer have the ability to then pass that onto their progeny in the breeding barn.
And Redoute'S Choice has won the diamond.
Redoute'S Choice has delivered on all fronts. A headline act from the moment he was conceived, Redoute'S Choice has revealed himself as a truly transcendent figure for Australian racing, and to this day he carries the burden of being one of the best.
He's just a lovely horse from day one with a great pedigree, and it didn't take us long to find out how much ability he had. In fact, the first time we jumped him out, he missed the start by 4 lengths and rounded them up in a couple of bounds and went 4 lengths clear. And I can remember Mark Riley coming back under my balcony and looking up and saying, "Oh, Rick," he said, "I'll swap all of mine for that one." And yeah, of course, that was Redoute'S.
Redoute'S Choice is ready.
Although obviously a colt with potential, that wasn't going to matter if he couldn't handle the rigours of race day. Well, those fears were quickly put to rest when Redoute'S Choice stepped out for the first time.
All clear, racing. Viva La Diva began well. Redoute'S Choice missed it about a length. One of the first out, Daneforce showing pace on the outside. Mad Dancer and Transparent Lover's going very quickly. Transparent Lover goes to the lead. Aquatun goes to second from Mad Dancer. Viva La Diva getting up on the inside, followed by Camargue, and then Fleet out wide of Daneforce from Waikiki Princess, Redoute's and Heather last of all. Transparent Lover going to the 600, led a length and a half to Aquatun. A length away then Viva La Diva on the inside from Mad Dancer, 3/4 Camargue. Then Redoute'S Choice going through on the inside, but inclined to over-race a bit. Daneforce wide from Waikiki Princess. Then Heather and Fleet as last when they came to the turn. Transparent Lover flying, leads by a length and a half. Viva La Diva chases her through on the inside from Aquatun. Camargue didn't handle the turn very well. Redoute'S Choice has got into the clear and is sprinting quickly. Transparent Lover the leader, but Redoute'S Choice coming at it. Viva La Diva behind the leader. Redoute'S Choice and Transparent Lover. Redoute'S Choice and Transparent Lover who fights on. But Redoute'S Choice, the first starter, goes home the better, and Redoute'S Choice won it by a neck to Transparent Lover.
Rick rung me and told me that he had a pretty good colt. He said, I really want you to ride him, which I did, and look, he was explosive his first start. I think he trailed the leader. I had to push one out of the way coming to the corner, and I gave it a little bump, and it overreacted and went about 6 wide, so it showed he had plenty of strength then, and he was very dominant his first win.
Well, they rarely find as much trouble and still win as Redoute'S Choice did here. The emergence of a pretty smart 2-year-old in the Veuve Clicquot Stakes. Redoute'S Choice by Danehill from Shantha's Choice, who's closely related to both Hugh Matilla and Hurricane Sky. So he's bred to be pretty special, and on what we've just witnessed, he certainly seems to be. Redoute'S Choice on the move too.
It was straight into the Group 1 Blue Diamond Stakes, Victoria's premier 2-year-old race. The outside barrier and another champion to contend with would surely be enough to stop an inexperienced colt like Redoute'S. And more often than not, it does. And that's why his victory was all the more special.
Racing. And Testarossa began okay. Northeast Sheila flew out. So did Card Queen, Dance Baby Dance. Out quickly too, Redoute'S Choice on the outside, but Northeast Sheila's going like the wind and has crossed the field off and led clearly by more than 2. Testarossa, Cull on the inside. Then Redoute'S Choice, Real Jester, followed by Card Queen, Dance Baby Dance over on the inside, next Akhenaten. Fleet going through on the inside when they go past the 800 metres, and then Sedurka. Onto the name Viva La Diva a long way back with Confederate Kid, Dangerous and Downing Street last of all. Northeast Sheila inside the 600, a half. Testarossa niggled at second. A length and a half. Redoute'S Choice, third outside Cullen. Then Card Queen, Real Jester, Akhenaten. 2 lengths to Fleet, followed by Dance Baby Dance. Onto the name and Sedurka when they corner. Northeast Sheila first round the turn. Here's Testarossa laying down the gauntlet of the filly. Cullen on the inside and Redoute'S Choice are starting to run home clear of Real Jester. Testarossa at the 200. Drew a length and a half. Redoute'S Choice is coming home well. Redoute'S Choice after Testarossa. Redoute'S Choice has grabbed the lead. 50 to go. Draws away and Redoute'S Choice has won the diamond. 2 lengths Testarossa.
A Group 1 winner after 2 starts, a rarity in modern day horse racing.
He's done what no 2-year-old has ever done. Redoute'S Choice has scored a stunning victory in the Mercedes-Benz Blue Diamond Stakes.
But it was done with absolute contempt, beating another champion juvenile in Testarossa in what would be the first of many clashes.
A star has emerged.
Well, he kept going shin-sore and we couldn't get him to the races until a week before the Blue Diamond, and of course he won that race, which was an 1100 metre stakes race, and we got quite a bit of money off him that day, and we had him going in the Blue Diamond at 25 to 1. And of course he started from the extreme outside barrier in the Blue Diamond, and I thought, well, he probably wouldn't be able to win it, but good horses can do anything, and it's no secret the fact that he took Testarossa on from the turn after coming from the extreme outside gate and just sprinted away from him, won by a couple of lengths. Actually, those 2 horses had some stirring battles later on.
The decision to go to Sydney for the Golden Slipper was an easy one to make. There was no galloper north of the border who had been so devastating in victory, and when Testarossa's connections decided not to go, it seemed Redoute'S would start one of the shortest price favourites in the history of the race. But in this game, there are no certainties, and it was a hard pill to swallow for connections and punters alike when he was sensationally withdrawn on race morning.
We flew him up there the day before the race, and it was a really, really humid day, and the night was so still. There was just no air at all. And we had him in the yard there outside, with no rug on, of course. I went down there about 11:15 just to check him on Saturday morning, and he was standing at the back of the yard, Doc Chapman's stables there at Rose Hill, and he had his head down, his ears back, and I thought then he just didn't look right. So we took his temperature, and it was well over normal, and we took it again an hour or so later, and it was 40.1, and at that stage the alarm bells were well and truly ringing, and we had to scratch him.
It was defined as travel sickness at the time, just an affliction that affects a horse for the duration it takes to get over the travel time.
Well, yes, it was a while before he came right though. There was some secondary infection in the bowel, and or so the vets said, but it was some time actually before he got over it, and of course he went for a spell after that. And but that was the most disappointing day that I've ever had at the races, because I've been lucky enough to win a Golden Slipper with Canny Lad, and this would surely have been the second one. He was even money favourite, and the horse that won the race, well, he was just classes above it.
Redoute'S Choice, the unbeaten colt, winner of the Blue Diamond.
A highly successful spring was on the offering when Redoute'S Choice returned to racing. It was the deep end straight off. A Manikato stake start against some of the nation's best sprinters at weight for age loomed.
The Group 1 racing for the 99-2000 season about to get underway.
He'd really developed, and he was a big, strong colt. He had everything, the making of being a top liner, because he had the attitude. He wasn't a big colty thing race day, and he just had everything going for him.
Racing, bouncing a beautiful line, Redoute'S Choice and Esker away, running out wide. They burst out in front, the 2 favourites from Transparent Lover and Flavour. Further back in the early point, Mastic from Joshua's Pride, Saboom. Then Final Tempo and Sedation. Esker working 3 out on the outside of Redoute'S Choice, and Transparent Lover pushing up on the inside, but she crosses over. She's almost on the fence. Esker knows she can't get over on the top of Transparent Lover, and she's outside Transparent Lover a length and a half then to Redoute'S Choice, now third. Mastic went up fourth, followed by Final Tempo around Joshua's Pride. Sedation pulled around the outside of Saboom, and Flavour back on the fence last of all. Transparent Lover's gone. Esker 1.5 in front of Redoute'S Choice. The grey final tempo is 3 out, then Mastic. Sedation coming into it now from Joshua's Pride as Redoute'S Choice lays it down to Isker at the 400 metre mark, and the big colt moved up on the outside now to get ahead in front of Isker, 1.5 lengths Mastic, then Sedation final tempo, 2 lengths Flavour. Redoute'S Choice is shot to the front, Isker's gone, Mastic after Redoute'S Choice at the 200 metre mark, and the big colt clear. Redoute'S Choice by 2 to Mastic, a gap in the race then Flavour, but Jimmy, it was worth the big wasting here because Redoute'S Choice, he might be anything, and Redoute'S Choice takes a Manikato, 1.5 Mastic, 2 away, 3rd Flavour. Oh, what a colt this could be for the spring, Redoute'S Choice.
It was a Group 1 race. It was a weak, to be fair, it was a weak running of that race. I think Isker was the favourite. She was a speedy little thing which didn't have a great deal of class, and of course Redoute'S just went past it like it was nailed to the ground. He won easily, but later on, of course, he raced and beat Testarossa in the Caulfield Guineas, and they were the 2 outstanding colts of their year, and they had some stirring battles. Testarossa beat him, I think, 3 or 4 times, and he beat Testarossa in the 2 big ones, the Blue Diamond and the Caulfield Guineas.
And he lays those ears back, this big colt. And what an exciting spring this fellow could be in for.
There was no denying it now, Redoute'S was bound for stardom. There are few horses in history who can claim to have won 2 Group 1s, including a defeat of older horses, after only 3 starts. Headlines were proclaiming him racing's next big thing, if he wasn't already there. But the bubble eventually bursts, and it did so in a huge way at his next start.
Racing, Redoute'S Choice away well, so was Testarossa. And down on the inside, Fabiano's son jumped out of the stalls flying today, and he's going to lead. In behind them early is Spargo crossing over to the rail. But it's Fabiano's son in front of Redoute'S Choice up second on the outside. Testarossa is on his outside, and they make nearly a line of 3 with Ruthless Tycoon on their outside, with Spargo behind the leading 4 horses. By the 800 metres, Fabiano's son has it narrowly. Redoute'S Choice is a neck away with about a length to Testarossa. Ruthless Tycoon outside him, and Spargo in behind the leading horses by the 600 metres. And the leader is Fabiano's son. He's about a neck clear. On his outside, Redoute'S Choice. Testarossa not letting Redoute'S get too far away from him as they came to the 400 metres now, and the heat's turned up here. Cassidy's asking for Redoute'S Choice. Is there much there? Testarossa's joined him, and Fabiano's son is still there on the rail. Redoute'S Choice is in a lot of trouble here. Fabiano's son in front of Testarossa. Here comes Spargo. This is going to be a dandy Andy boil over. Spargo's raced to the front, 100 metres to go, and Spargo's racing clear to beat Testarossa by 3 lengths. Fabiano's son third, Redoute'S Choice 3 behind them, and last to finish is Ruthless Tycoon. Well, nobody wrote that into the script.
Spargo, a son of Rory's Jester, had run a 20-length last at his previous start in the Vane Stakes. He never won another race.
Redoute'S Choice left the fence. There's the run for Testarossa if he's got enough.
Up next on This Racing Life, featuring Redoute'S Choice, we look back on Redoute'S greatest triumph, the Caulfield Guineas.
Redoute'S Choice is coming again.
And we catch up with the man responsible for turning Redoute'S Choice into one of the nation's most successful stallions.
He's really something of a superstar in the Australian landscape. A horse that can get you that number of elite runners doesn't come often.
We're ready for the Guineas. Great clash of these 3-year-olds. They're set.
Come Caulfield Guineas Day, punters were splitting opinions on what was to be the most important instalment of the duels between Redoute'S Choice and Testarossa. The race itself will go down forever in the memory of race fans.
And racing, Redoute'S Choice jumped well on the inside, and so did Testarossa. A line got away fast, and Honour the Name settling just behind them. Going forward wide out as Commands as they settle down, and by the 1400, Redoute'S Choice holding the lead early from a line on his outside, and Commands 3 deep. A length and a half, Testarossa dropped in 4th on the rail. Then Sedurka pins out wide, hustling forward from Honour the Name, and they're followed a bit further back by Mr. Endurance. A length behind these is Akabilk, and they're followed by Dangerous. Over on the inside, Anarchy Walk settling well back is Diatribe from Prince Benbarra, and Oval Office last of all. As they went by the 900 now, and it's Redoute'S Choice. He'll try to do it all the way in the guineas, and he sets a reasonable tempo, about a neck clear. Second is Align. Pins is out 3 wide by the 800. Testarossa follows his great rival on the rails. This could be set up for something special. Next Command Sedurka out wide. A length and a half further back, Honour the Name from Mr. Endurance and Dangerous travelling 3 wide. 2 lengths further back, Akabilk, Anarchy Walk and Diatribe. Then Prince Benbarra as they neared the corner, and Oval Office last of all. Align moved up to put some acid to the leader, Redoute'S Choice, who still has a little bit left in the tank. Testarossa, Oliver's just waiting and waiting. Redoute'S Choice left the fence. There's the run for Testarossa if he's got enough. Align coming at them on the outside with pins. They reached the 200, and Testarossa sprinting very fast has moved up and has gone to the lead over Redoute'S Choice. Cassidy had to pull the whip and then pins. It's Testarossa clear though. Redoute'S Choice is coming again. Testarossa has to find. Redoute'S digs. He lunges and wins. Redoute'S Choice beat Testarossa. A magnificent guineas. In behind them either Oval Office for third with Commands, and then Sedurka. We've seen one of the very great guineas. The judge needs the photo. Redoute'S Choice will get it.
I got Ollie on Testarossa. I lifted him. Look, it was a great race. It was well publicised. 2 good colts, and look, it was a mighty finish. He was gone probably with 80 metres to go, and as good colts do, the cream comes to the top, and he really dug deep, and I was able to get him home to beat Testarossa in the last 2 strides.
What a courageous win by an outstanding 3-year-old, and a pumped Jim Cassidy has won his 2nd guineas in one of the most memorable races in this particular event of all time.
Do you still put that Caulfield Guineas victory on the television every now and then, and even his Blue Diamond victory?
Well, I did, funnily enough, just the other day. We've got it on tape, of course, and yes, I never forget that Caulfield Guineas day. My heart was absolutely in my mouth because, of course, being a brokey from way back, I always need the money, and it was a $1 million race, 65,000 to me, plus another small earn, plus had something on it. So it was
of course you did.
a very good result.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just seen one of the greatest Caulfield Guineas of all time. Put your hands together for the winner, Redoute'S Choice. Here's some horse.
The remainder of Redoute'S Choice career was short, with the aim of increasing his sire value, and he was restricted to just 4 more starts, all in open Group 1 company.
He only ever competed in stakes races. He never once, he had 10 starts, 4 Group 1 wins and another listed race win, a few seconds and thirds. He never finished further back than 5th. And he should have won another Group 1. That was something that happened which we couldn't work him properly. He still ran 3rd, just got run down at the Valley. It's the only time he's ever got to the front and he was run down, and the reason for that was he simply wasn't fit enough. He got hurt and I couldn't work him the way he should have been worked.
Umrum gets up to 3rd on the outside, and then Zapor. Redoute'S Choice with Miss Penny Money. She throws down the gauntlet again at the 200 metres. Miss Penny Money the outside. Redoute'S Choice. Beedman throwing everything at the big colt on the inside. What a great battle, clear of Intergaze. Redoute'S Choice and Miss Penny Money with on the outside Intergaze, but Redoute'S is back in a fighting win.
So I've had some good stallions, Dash for Cash, Clay Hero, Spartacus, Kenny's Best Pal. They've all been Group 1 winners, and I've always been partial to a nice colt, and Redoute'S was the king of all those horses, both on the racetrack and as a type, and the others have been very nice horses too, particularly Dash for Cash and Clay Hero.
He was obviously a champion racehorse and obviously one of the world's great sires.
Wonderful fighting performance from Redoute'S Choice.
An impressive race record coupled with an exquisite pedigree was always going to make Redoute'S hot property when the studs came knocking. During that last campaign, Arrowfield Supremo John Massara had been looking for the perfect son of Danehill to take centre stage on his stallion roster. Massara was of course partly responsible for Redoute'S Choice's father, Danehill, being originally shuttled to Australia, and was already nurturing the stallion careers of 2 of Danehill's best sons at stud in Flying Spur and Dan Zero.
we sold the Danehill nomination to Mr. Yassine, the owner, from which Redoute'S Choice was conceived. And funnily enough, we were also the underbidder on Redoute'S Choice's dam, Santhus Choice, when she came up as a yearling. So I feel there's some destiny in all this, and I pushed that point very strongly with Mr. Yassine when I came to buy Redoute'S Choice, or a piece of Redoute'S Choice from him.
And was there something about him? Tell us about that time when you were negotiating on Redoute'S Choice. He'd been a standout of his era for his age. Can you tell us exactly what drew you to him, apart from that obvious connection to knowing Shantha's Choice and selling the nomination to Danehill?
Oh, well, he's a horse that ticked all the boxes. He was by Danehill, who I felt was a breed shaper. We bought him in the first place because we thought that was the case, and of course since then he's proved to be so. He was out of a wonderfully bred mare from a family that had already produced a couple of stakes winners, a couple of sires, and a very good taproot. And he was a great individual himself, but it all was capped off when he won the Blue Diamond at his second start ever, which I think is a feat in itself, and a week after his first start, moreover. And then, of course, that wonderful tussle with Testarossa where Redoute'S Choice prevailed in the Caulfield Guineas. That was enough to make me quickly approach Mr. Yassine and sit down and see if we could strike a deal.
Tell us how you go about that, because you mentioned that there was competition. Have you just got to be that little bit better than the rest of the competition, or does the pocket have to just get a little deeper?
I think it's a bit of both. I think Mr. Yassine had a very fixed idea as to what he thought the horse was worth, and after bandying around figures below that number, I finally sat back and thought, well, this is the horse I really want, and if it costs 10 instead of 8, then if it's the animal I want, I should pay that premium. And I did meet his price, and the conditions were worked out as being reasonable between us, and away we went for the horse to stand at Arrowfield, and at that point we owned half of him.
And at that point, you're probably in a cold sweat thinking, I've got to sell some nominations to this horse. We've got to make him work. Not only sell nominations, but make sure he gets every possibility to be a stallion with some longevity. How do you create that aura and find that balance between just getting any old mare to him and making sure that the book's balanced?
Oh, well, we've always had quality control as part of one of our policies here at Arrowfield on the stallion side. That's why we quite often don't serve the biggest books. We're about providing long-term sustainable success for our stallions, and that can mean knocking back some mares from time to time, and that's what we've done along the way. To our regret, we'd love to have the money, but that's the way we operate. It was not difficult to launch this horse because everyone had seen his performances, and the rest is history. It didn't take him long to assert himself. When I bought Redoute'S Choice, people said, this bloke's already got Dan Zero and Flying Spur. What's he want in a third son of Danehill? And at the time I answered, you can't have too much of a good thing. And of course, had I taken the view that I already had enough of this blood at Arrowfield and not bought Redoute'S Choice, my life would have been entirely different to what it is today.
Lotteria has kicked right away as they top the rise.
8 horses from Redoute'S first crop went on to win stakes races. His first Group 1 winner also came from that crop when brilliant filly Lateria annihilated a Flight Stakes field.
Lotteria is making a mess of them in the Flight Stakes. She's 5-6 lengths in front and she races on to score.
That was great. And even though some of those came as 3-year-olds, not as 2-year-olds. And the subsequent year and years thereafter have been outstanding, with multiple Group 1 winners in a single season, Slipper winners, Derby winners, Oaks winners, Flight Stakes winners. He's done the lot.
That was the start of an incredible run. His second crop of 2-year-olds were lethal, completing a clean sweep of the nation's 3 biggest juvenile events. First, Bradbury's Luck in the Magic Millions. Then undoubtedly in the Blue Diamond.
undoubtedly and perfectly ready, undoubtedly getting to the lead at the 100 from Seed Nazar, perfectly ready, can't go on, undoubtedly is racing away from them and undoubtedly won it easily.
And finally, Stratum powered away with the Golden Slipper.
Around the turn and Stratum booted away. He goes for home on Stratum, Lenny Beasley, 2 lengths on Opportunity. Then Fashions of Field starting to run on, followed in behind them next by Written Tycoon at Stratum in front at the 200. Fashions of Field is next and then Media running on, but Stratum in front with 100 to go. It's holding the lead safely at bay and it's Stratum and Lenny Beasley for the Golden Slipper.
It was a stunning crop. This was the year where we got Quinellas in Group 1 races and in other stakes races. We got, slipper winners and diamond winners and all sorts of things.
Well, just to refresh your memory, Stratum won the Golden Slipper, undoubtedly the Blue Diamond, Bradbury's Luck the Magic Millions, and Fashions of Field won the AJC Size Produce. 2-year-old races them all.
Incredibly dominant, isn't it? And it's those sort of stats that fire up the imagination and that set a horse up to become a sire maker himself. That capacity to throw elite athletes. A lot of horses get winners, and a lot of horses get a good horse or 2 good horses, but very few get the velocity of high quality horses that he does. And that's the index I look at when looking at stallions. And on that basis, Redoute'S Choice has an 11% stakes winners to runners ratio, which far outweighs any other stallions here at this time.
Not only that, he gets a lot of place getters in stakes races on top of that. In fact, I think it's 1 in 5 go on and become stakes performers.
Yeah, 19.5% of his horses that run are black type performers. 57 stakes winners, 16 Group 1 winners, 3% Group 1 winners to runners. Some horses get 3% stakes winners to runners. This bloke gets 3% Group 1 winners to runners. These are enormous stats, and he's still a young horse, and his biggest and best books are still to come.
I'm sure you had great expectations for him, but did he exceed those expectations in that year and give you those tingles?
Beyond doubt. It's a great privilege to be associated with a horse like that. In a breeder's life, he might come once. And to think that we had a big stake in him and he stood our own farm and we were there from the beginning is something that's an extraordinary thrill. But with it comes responsibility, because he becomes really the property of the Australian industry then. And he's been a great ambassador for Australian breeding and racing internationally. People all around the world know about Redoute'S Choice now. But you're right, in those days, we had to pinch ourselves when all those 2-year-old stakes winners were popping up and Quinellas in those races. It was just, unreal. Since then, he's done marvellously well. But the expectations are so high that people don't know how well he's done. They expect so much from him.
One of the defining characteristics of Redoute'S as a sire is the array of different types he's capable of producing.
After his second year and all those very good precocious 2-year-olds, the Sydney press took to saying that he was unable to throw a stayer or a classic horse. And of course, what he's done since is phenomenal in that area. The Flight Stakes winners, the Guineas winners, the Oaks winners and the Derby winners. Absolutely phenomenal. And, put the lie to the claims that were being made in the Sydney press as this was purely a getter of 2-year-olds. So good was his 2-year-old season that they took to saying that. Of course, now those criticisms have abated.
Line is good. Off they go this time. They jumped in a very good line too.
On top of this, some of his progeny have produced some truly unbelievable performances on the track. Take the win of God's Own in the 2005 Caulfield Guineas, which has to be seen to be believed.
Well, we got knocked down Primus, so did God's Own. Paternity came back into their lap. Plenty of trouble in the early point, and God's Own went back to last. He was knocked out of the race. Over the top of the hill, Gonski took it up. A length in front now from Paratroopers, 2.5, Red Dazzler, Stratum the fence. 3 lengths further back, then Perfectly Ready outside Silent Echo. 2 Apache Cat from Paternity, further back than Primus. Then came over on the inside, Testifiable from Danger Loom. Looms and God's Own knocked down early last of all. At the 800 metre mark and the Guineas and the leader Gonski a length in front. Paratrooper second, Stratum third, a length off, a length further back Redoute'S. 4 lengths further back, fifth is perfectly ready. Apache Cat has gone the move around the outside, followed by Paternity. Silent Echo the fence, and further back in the race God's Own. Then came Primus, followed by Danger Looms, and last of all Testifiable. Gonski up to the turn, a half length in front on the outside. Paratroopers, Redoute'S went up third. Stratum behind those. Apache Cat the widest runner around, perfectly ready. When they turn for home, it's been nice and rough. When they turn, God's Own got flattened again. Into the straight, Gonski in front. Paratroopers coming at it quickly. Paratroopers has ranged up and hit the front now. Getting out of Stratum, battling on Gonski, then perfectly ready. Paratroopers going for home, and the Guineas draws a length in front, is holding Gonski. God's Own getting out when it's all over, is flying. Paratroopers in front. God's Own flying to it on the outside. He got up. A remarkable performance. God's Own has won the Guineas. I've never seen anything like it.
Miss Finland has taken the lead in the Golden Slipper.
Miss Finland's Golden Slipper victory was one of the most comprehensive wins in slipper history, smashing the nation's best 2-year-olds.
But the Bleakers have done the trick with Miss Finland. She bolts it in.
Miss Finland gave us an enormous thrill. She was owned with 2 of my closest friends, Alan Jones, the broadcaster, and Johnny Lever, who, like me, was a stockbroker, and for about the same period as me was a stockbroker too. We go back a long way. And for the 3 of us to own that mare, being such close friends, and for her to go from where she started to where she ended, was wonderful. We just had wonderful times and a lot of highs. And, you know, I just hope we can do it again. But they're hard. Those moments must be savoured because they're hard to come by.
Out wider then Samantha Miss. Bowman's got her into the clear. She's about 5 lengths off the leader. She's poised for her run.
And here is the most recent champion on the track, Samantha Miss, winning the VRC Oaks in dominant fashion.
Running on, and Miss now on the outside. Samantha Miss is starting to hit her straps, and she's joined in quickly at the 300 metres now. And Samantha Miss dashed to the lead, drew a length and a half in front of Miss Scarlatti, Rocher and Glowlamp. But it's Samantha Miss, the Sydney Princess, well clear, racing away from them. The favourite has it in the bag, and Samantha Miss scored in the Oaks by 3 lengths to Miss Scarlatti.
That's what racehorse owners want. They want the chance to buy a champion, and I think this horse can give them the chance, you know. He really can. They're doing no more than he did himself as a racehorse, as I said earlier. To have done what he did as a 2-year-old and then to come out at 3 and won at weight for age and won the Caulfield Guineas in those extraordinary circumstances where he appeared beaten 200 from home and then ground forward and just down to Testarossa, who himself was an outstanding racehorse. That was a chilling performance, you know. Sort of the hair on the back of your head went up.
Yep.
It was something very special. So he's passed that capacity on to his produce, there's no doubt.
Up next on This Racing Life, John takes us through some of Redoute'S Choice's daily routine as one of the nation's foremost stallions.
During that period, he more often than not serves 3 mares a day.
John, we're here at the day yards with the stallions and there's royalty everywhere. We've got Redoute'S Choice off to our left and to the right, not a single doubt, in the new star Schnitzel. It's quite a privilege to be here and be up close and personal with these horses. But tell us a little bit about the personality of Redoute'S Choice, your star of the stable, I suppose.
Well, he's a terribly Australian horse, very laid back and laconic. And I suppose the naughtiest thing he does is pull his tongue out to be squeezed. That's some little idiosyncrasy he's got. Other than that, he's a very relaxed, easygoing horse, and that sort of temperament comes through in his stock, and that's part of their strength. They don't use up all their energy before the race is run, and they hold that energy for the terminal part of the race. So that's been a great advantage for his progeny.
What about his daily routine? Has he got a certain routine? I know your staff would like to keep him in some sort of a routine because horses by nature are that way.
Well, there are 2 parts of the year. There are the parts of the year where he's serving mares, covering mares, and there are parts of the year where he has nothing much to do during the year, and that's most of the year. As you know, the breeding season is from September to December, and during that period, he more often than not serves 3 mares a day, and that starts at 5:30 in the morning. He's awoken from his sleep and taken to serve a mare, prepared to serve a mare. He then has the rest of the morning out in his paddock, then goes on and serves another mare about 11:30, 12 o'clock. And it might by that stage be quite hot, so he might spend the afternoon in his box.
Yeah.
And he's got, as you've seen, a big box and comfortable box, air conditioned, and then he'll serve a mare in the evening about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Depending on the weather, he'll spend the rest of the night outside, or if it's inclement weather, he'll be in his box for the evening. So that's the kind of routine. In the off season, we put him on the walker. Yep. For 20 minutes to half an hour a day. He gets exercised. The rest of the time he's in his paddock enjoying himself, other than, again, in very bad weather.
And as we've seen, he's a lover in the shed. He's good to his mares. He looks after them, and he's doing the job.
Yes, he's active in the shed. He's never been a problem that way. And he loves his job in there.
Yeah,
so,
well, who wouldn't? And he's got some mates now that are his sons that live across the road here and over to my right. Not a single doubt, and Snitzel, not a single doubt, produced the most individual winners in his first season crop last season, and Snitzel well on the way to being champion first season stallion.
Well, that's very gratifying for the big boy to be doing that, because that's what you hope. You hope that he might be the beginning of a dynasty. He might be a sire maker. That's the ultimate dream for any farm. And of course, he's the son of Dane Hill, who himself is a great sire maker. And so it looks like the dynasty is continuing. It's early days, but it looks very promising.
His barn is... I dare not use the word stable. That would be doing it in injustice. His yard is quite extraordinary. Can you tell us what took place over there? Because I'm led to believe it was a covering shed once upon a time.
It was a covering shed, but Redoute'S Choice, as you might expect, is an alpha male, very dominant even amongst his partners in the stallion barn, and used to lash out in disgust as other stallions walked past.
Lesser stallions, he might have thought.
Absolutely. And we thought he might injure himself, and we wanted to have him in that complex somewhere, but separate from the others. And so we decided to convert our second breeding shed into his barn, his own barn, his own box, and it is in box terms rather majestic because it's very large, it's air conditioned, he's got rubber lining everywhere to make sure that he doesn't hurt himself. I must say he's very happy there now, and he's the king here and he deserves that position.
Because he has, it would be fair to say, and not understating things to say, he has helped you build a lot of what we've seen here today at Arrowfield, 2,500 acres of pristine, beautiful breeding land that you couldn't imagine could get any better.
Absolutely, he's certainly been a big contributor to that. I always say the stallion maketh the farm. We've been lucky to have a string of good ones. I don't want to underestimate the contribution of horses such as Hassanay and Flying Spur and Danzera and others we've been lucky enough to have. But Redoute'S Choice, in terms of sheer financial contribution, has been a wonderful thing for us. And we're cognizant of that.
Do the staff? Do you get a great deal of joy out of seeing the staff have a bond with Redoute'S Choice as well, particularly those in the stallion barn?
Absolutely. His handler has a very close relationship with the horse, knows the horse backwards, can tell you when the horse has a hair out of place or not right in one way or another. Of course, the horse is closely monitored. His temperature is taken twice a day. He's handled a lot. But they do take pride in this stallion. They like working around champion horses, and it's a thrill to horsemen in the thoroughbred industry to be associated with a horse like Redoute'S. And frankly, you couldn't make it and you couldn't run the operation without those style of people. Yeah. They're very committed to him and to the farm, and I do get enjoyment out of seeing just the bond they have with these horses and how careful they are with them and how caring they are with them.
Samantha Miss, $1.5 million she cost at the sales.
Of course, one of the main gauges of a stallion's commercial success is his results in the sales ring. In Redoute'S case, his yearlings have sold for some staggering amounts in recent years, and even with the downturn in the market, he continues to produce fantastic results for Arrowfield and for vendors.
And it's a good one here for Redoute'S Choice too, siring a Group 1 winner.
Samantha Miss is a case in point. I tried to buy her along with everybody else at the Easter sale that year, and she sold for $1.5 million, which at the time was regarded as a very high price. Well, she subsequently became the best filly in the country and sold for a greater price than that as a broodmare. And then you got the Muskets, who was an expensive, most expensive horse yearling up to that moment, and at the time bought by the Ingham brothers, and who's come out and become a very strong stakes winner. There's a there are a number of those expensive horses that have gone on and done the job. So it's been very rewarding to see that happen.
But Stratum, he ran first, he got the prize.
I think it's inhibiting his results, his racecourse results. The fact that generally about 70% of his colts don't get gelded, compared to some of his competitors who where 70% of their colts do get gelded. Under our training regimes and our sort of racing culture here, trainers seem to get a much better result with geldings, and this fellow's not getting many gelded because people are hoping for a stallion.
And you can't blame them, but nonetheless his statistics could look even more impressive. That 1 in 5 stakes performed horse may just edge a little higher.
That's got to be taken into account, as has another factor, and that is the competition there is in the stallion market today. Say in the days of his own side, Dane Hill, there are a handful of international size here. Coolmore didn't exist in Australia, neither did Darley. They're the two major importers of quality international bloodstock. They didn't exist in Australia. Today, we're competing against the best bloodlines in the world and large numbers of representatives of those bloodlines. So for the horse to be as dominant as he is under those circumstances is a real achievement, I think.
It's very hard to compare, but when the curtain comes down on the stallion career of Redoute'S Choice, will he be remembered in the same revered way as his illustrious father? Like most things, only time will tell, but one thing is certain: Redoute'S Choice will always be a headline act.